happen.
Anyway, we have Mike from Massapequa to comment about Mike from Massapequa has a comment about David Wright. Are you there, Mike from Massapequa?
Good morning, man.
Good morning, General. How are you?
Looking forward to this Monday. Couldn't wait for it to come.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in almost every week. We appreciate it.
One of the avid listeners out there waiting for you to go mainstream, perhaps Cyrus somewhere in the future.
Well, that's serious, but we'll take Cyrus too.
We'll work on it.
We'll work Cyrus first.
I would just like to recap, in my opinion, of what this Mets season came down to. Nothing but a nostalgic old-timers game towards the end. And my take on David Wright, not taking away from the few good years he had and his earnestness for playing the game, but he is your typical ball player signed to a long-term contract that backfires.
Yeah, but you know what? No one knew about
the fans.
Yeah, but you know what? First of all, the Mets have insurance, so they're not losing money. So you're right. The fans didn't get to see David Wright play, but you know what? Spinal stenosis is a pretty serious thing. So
very serious.
Maybe if they'd known in advance, maybe if they got in a time machine, they could have gone up 4 years.
No, of course not. Not unforeseen an injury and stuff, but it's just a thing when you lock somebody into a long-term contract. It seems that it usually happens they don't fulfill that contract the way it should be. And the way, it just lingered that they held up that third base spot in hopes of a miraculous comeback, even knowing the seriousness of spinal stenosis, as you pointed out, as if he was going to come back and be a viable asset to the team, was just a waste of time. And I hope they now have to move forward. I wish they never would have traded Turner. I wish they would have kept him, as it would have been a perfect transition.
I'm pretty sure they waived him, so I mean they didn't think much about Turner.
I don't know how they missed the boat on that.
Well,
he was
I'm fairly
perfect
certain
fit for that team.
I'm fairly certain he was
What was
waived.
Turner's first name?
Justin Turner. But no, it's I see what you're saying. A lot of long-term contracts wind up being realized and being worth the money, but there comes a point. And I think more teams are getting away from 7-year contracts on any player because contracts that go that long tend to, like you said, not the player doesn't live up to the terms of the deal.
Right.
Look at Jacoby Ellsbury. I mean, this season was a complete disaster. He didn't play at all for the Yankees, but he's making $22 or $23 million this year, and the Yankees still are on the hook for another 2 years of that.
Tim, what is your analysis of the frailty and fragileness of today's ball player compared to the ones that we grew up with back in the 70s, such as an Ed Kranepool, that was so durable, a Tom Terrific, that would actually go 9 innings. If they didn't go pitch a 9-inning game, it was like shameful.
Well, that's the difference because as much as I agree that pitchers should be pitching more, who was it yesterday? Syndergaard had a complete game.
First one in his career.
First one in his career.
Second one.
First one in the career.
No, first shutout, but not first complete game. He had a complete game earlier in the season, but he let up 1 run. But this is his first.
But this was the first year
shutout.
Since 1874 that have the least amount of complete games.
But that's the way baseball's going.
It's part of the way the analytics is going, Mike. About that, you're right. Who agrees with you also about that? Tom Seaver. So Nolan Ryan, those two guys who had these great arms are also saying, why are these pitchers pitching less? It's actually hurting their arms if they pitch longer. So
it is. I tend to agree with what they're saying. I
agree with you with that. But also, you know what? Part of the reason I think the Mets signed David Wright to the contract they did is because, let's be honest, as a Met fan, he was our Jeter. And
he was the face of the franchise, and that's what they wanted him to be, was the face of the franchise.
Right, and plus, He was the face, and then here the Mets can say, well, we have our Jeter, we paid him a 7-year contract. I mean, Jeter.
Right.
The Yankees paid Jeter.
They were trying to show commitment to the fans that they were building around.
Right. That's why.
But a guy,
it backfires.
Lots of times it does.
Especially on the Mets. Well, I don't know what the training procedure goes there, but I've never seen a team with so many injuries. Going back to the Oma Minaya days, I mean, guys run to first base and they pull a hamstring. 26 years old. To me, it's unheard of.
Well, I think part of it, going back to the pitching aspect of it, is the limiting of innings in the minor leagues. I mean, you look at guys coming out of college, and they've pitched 100 innings or more in college in the season, and then they bring him to the minor leagues, and the next season it's like, well, he can't pitch more than 60 or 70 innings. Well, why not? These guys are young. I mean, I don't want them pitching a couple hundred innings, but why can't they pitch 120 innings? I don't understand it. And it seems like, for whatever reason, and I don't know that there is any kind of scientific evidence or proof that says, yes, we should have them pitching less and caring for their arms. Guys like Seaver and Nolan Ryan are very much proponents of throw more, work your arms, not just with weights, but actually work the arm and throwing and work those muscles by throwing more and long tossing and things like that. But Seaver and Ryan also say build up the legs as much as possible because that's where you derive a lot of your power from.
Yes, him, the Kuzmins, the Matlacks.
Right. So I think that's part of the issue as far as pitchers go. As far as you were talking about with guys pulling hamstrings and doing that, they train a lot more than the guys. Baseball players never used to lift weights. It was unheard of back then because lifting weights supposedly made you bulky, it made you stiff, and baseball players needed to be loose and be able to move and have quick bursts. It's like, because if you're standing in the outfield and all of a sudden somebody hits the ball in the gap, boom, you're off. And
Right.
if your legs are tight from working out, you're going to pull something. And nowadays it's like baseball players want to look good on the beach. And back in the 50s, they didn't care about looking good on the beach. Especially, the Yankees just wanted their World Series rings. But that was a big difference. That back then, baseball players were strong and they had muscles, but they weren't bulky and thick. And the workouts that they didn't restrict their movements like they do today.
Yeah. So, but I know what you're talking about, Mike. We understand. I think it was right to sign David Wright to that contract. I don't think anyone knew that the stenosis was going to happen.
No, that's absolutely agreeable. I think it was wrong that the organization held that spot and let others escape that position.
But you have to. Where are you going to put David Wright? If
he does come back, and you're hoping he does.
But it's either you have to buy him out, which is going to cost you money anyway. The money, once the contract is signed, that money is what they call sunk cost because it has to be paid. So if the Mets aren't going to have David Wright try to come back, well, then it's going to be, all right, well, we don't want you anymore, David, so what's it going to take to get rid of you? And David Wright's going to say, pay me my money. Or his agent will say that. And then the Mets are on the hook for a $80 million check, and maybe David Wright actually is able to come back, and he winds up doing something for another team.
Right, so you have to sort of wait. And plus, I'll be honest with you, David Wright is one of those guys, as the face of the Mets, you need him to visit a hospital, he's there. You need him to shake hands with a kid before a game.
Player.
Great guy that way.
He conducted himself with the utmost professionalism and was a great role model for the kids. Absolutely, unlike some other players.
But you know what? You're talking about free agency and stuff like that. Remember when the Mets signed George Forster? Yeah. Well, I think if you look at the George Forster deal, which George turned out to be not a great Met.
No.
But if you remember that deal, the Mets sort of had to sign him because they hadn't really gone into the free agency pool, so to speak, and they said, "Oh, well, let's get George Forster. He hit 52 homers in the season. He was a pretty damn good player for the Cincinnati Reds, and he comes to the Mets at the worst time." And then
that seems to have been the trend of the Mets. They make those impulsive, pushed on them decisions. Jason Bay.
I was about to bring him up.
Right?
Yeah, but they've gotten some players who they signed too late in the process.
Well, that's what it is. They get the guy, they get a Cespedes because he was the only. They had to do it,
because they needed a bat.
Just let him go.
But they needed a bat, and he was the only bat out there
that have shot their load, and then they bring him aboard. They get them a few seasons too late.
Well, that's happened.
You look at somebody like Pedro Martinez. And the Mets needed to sign him because at the time they were a very mediocre franchise, and Omar Minaya wanted to make a statement and wanted to say to teams around the league, around baseball, hey, we're gonna be involved for free agents, and we're gonna be a team that wants players to think about coming to the New York Mets because we're here to win. And they knew that at some point that Pedro's arm was going to go. All you had to do was look at the medicals, look at the MRIs, and you could see. I mean, everybody knew that it was going to go, and then Pedro's arm wasn't going to last 4 seasons. But Omar, it was more a statement signing than let's just give Pedro Martinez a bunch of money, because it was let's give Pedro a bunch of money, and that will convince other players to want to come here. That was the reasoning behind it. But and then Pedro's arm went out in his 3rd year.
Right.
But by that time, the Mets had put a pretty good team around him. So I understand
Pedro
why
had
they did
one
that.
good season with the Mets.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe 2. So
he was good for the young pitchers. He was. You need somebody like that.
Exactly.
A Dickey around or somebody to.
Well, the thing about Pedro is, he wanted the money, and this happens all the time. You go for the money, and then the team that you left becomes even better. They'd won the World Series in 2004, then again in 2007. So he would have been king of the mountain in Boston forever. Not that he maybe isn't already, but
they love him there.
Yeah, they love him anyway. But he would have been even more loved the way Big Papi is. Your boy, Big Papi.
Man, I'm going to have to start my day, but I'd just like to leave with this prediction.
Uh-oh. We'll write this down.
It's going to be big.
We're going to see, and I was right on this, we're going to see the Yankees, who I said when everybody was like, oh, the Yankees are losing games, I said, no, never count the Yankees out. They're going to come on strong. They're going to be the hot team going into the playoffs. We are going to see the Yankees, and I'm not a Yankee fan, but we are going to see the New York Yankees in the World Series versus the Atlanta Braves.
Wow. Back to the 90s.
I'll talk to you more about it in October.
Back to the 90s. I like it.
Thank you, General.
Have a great day, man.
Thank you.
Take care, Mike from Massapequa.
Mike from Massapequa calling in. Brave prediction
Yankees.
there.
Wow.
Yankees and Braves.
Bring out Mike or Greg Maddux and John Smoltz.
Bring back. Who do you want to bring back for the Yankees?
From those days?
Yeah.
Wish I could bring back Don Mattingly right now. Although Luke Voigt's doing a nice job.
Yeah, he is. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Sports Talk Family we are part of. The show is called From the Press Box. And give us a call, 516-572-7440.
A Super Bowl champion, U.S. Congressman, publisher of Long Island Business News, award-winning authors, physical fitness life coach, and celebrities like Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy. I had no idea so many awesome people got their start at Nassau Community College.
Well, they're always saying that NCC is where success stories begin. With people like that as graduates, it must be true.
Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Nadian.
And I'm Aurora Workman, the president of Nassau Community College Alumni Association.
Together, we're the hosts of Lion Tales, a show that highlights proud graduates of Nassau Community College. Join us each week when distinguished alumni stop by to share stories, laugh a little, and remind us what things were like when they were students at Nassau Community College.
My fabulous friend Linda and I will also share the latest alumni news and updates, so tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, or listen online with the iHeartRadio app.
See, this is hi-fi, okay? High fidelity. You know what that means? That means this is the highest quality fidelity. Hi-fi. Those are two very important things to have in the stereo system.
Join me, Kim Tracy, on High Fidelity for a mix of music with a focus on newer music and lesser-known artists every every Thursday at 2 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC and streaming with the iHeartRadio and TuneIn apps.
Okay. Yo.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
These revamps of these TV shows that came out, like, for instance, Fuller House.
Fuller House stinks.
I've
watched a bunch of episodes of it just because I really like Full House. They focus too much on the newer kids. I'd rather it be about Danny, Joey, Jesse, and I don't want to know about DJ's kids. I think they stink as actors.
What?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so.
Kill off the original kids. Have it be about Danny and all that, raising the new kids.
Oh my God. First off, you're an awful director. There's something going on in your mind that I don't like. Just kill off DJ Stephanie.
It's a TV show. It's not like I'm bringing the actors out back and shooting them in the head.
How are you going to kill them off? What are you going to
I don't know.
An
Car
assassin?
accident. They go off the side of the Golden Gate.
I would hate
everywhere.
The Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.